when people first find out that I'm from Texas, it's always, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. And I'm not. Texas is my home. Texas is a beautiful state. My name is Robert, and this is my video out. Hi, my name is Robert Salcido. I use pronouns he, him, his, and I identify as a queer Latinx man. So originally from New Mexico, from Roswell, but I was raised in Northwest Texas from a very young age. So I was there all through grade school and middle school, high school, and attended college in the area. Northwest Texas is very then, anyways, I would say, then was very conservative. It was remote, not very much in the way of queer life. So the only kind of queer connection I had was through other family members who identified somewhere along the spectrum. So really didn't have a whole lot of resources, didn't have a lot of things to kind of tag back to queer culture, but definitely family was very much part of my upbringing. At a very young age, I realized I was queer. Didn't have the words to put to it. It's one of those things where in grade school, I looked at other little boys and didn't quite chase after the girls like everybody else did, and just knew that something was not aligned with kind of what the norm was, for everybody else. I started kind of exploring that, after I discovered, or I shouldn't say discovered, after I was told that my dad was gay. After that, and after it was explained to me what gay meant, I really started looking and saying, wait, boys that like boys, that's gay. And that's kind of what I am then. And really started putting those two together. And of course, as I got older into my early teens, really started able to access kind of the library system. Internet certainly wasn't a thing then, and really started to kind of explore it through reading, and which was very limited at that point as well. I remember a point I came across a book that was geared towards young gay individuals that were coming out. In the back of the book, there was a pen pal service where it connected teenagers across the U.S. to other teenagers that were questioning. And so I went ahead and took that opportunity and submitted a letter, and I got it back from the person that I was matched up with from Ohio, and that was really the first time that I kind of acknowledged to myself of how I identified. So I think it's an evolution of who I am as a person. As I mentioned, obviously being younger and identifying as straight, and I don't want to say that I was misidentifying myself. I think that was the journey that I needed to go through to know that no, that's not who I am. I went through a point where I identified as bisexual, and kind of went through that, navigating that space, then identifying as a gay man because I knew that my primary attraction was to men, and then as I currently sit, and identifying as queer, and I identify as queer, and I tell people, depending upon who you ask and what queer means to them, you're probably going to get a variation of different answers. The reason I identify as queer is because I don't want to be put in a box that I only like or am attracted to, whether that's physically, spiritually, mentally, any type of attraction to a man only. And by man, I mean somebody that was biologically assigned male at birth. My attraction is to masculine-centered people. whether that's men, a trans man, a woman who is on the masculine side, whether that's lesbian or a cisgender woman. So it's really that masculinity that I'm attracted to. And so that's why I personally identify as queer, because it doesn't put me inside a box per se. So I think the biggest issue, from my opinion, on what LGBTQ folks is kind of a pressing issue is visibility and acceptance. And the reason I say that is because I think any of the issues that we have, whether we're talking legal equality or familial acceptance, all comes and kind of roots down into acceptance itself. In many states, including Texas, it's perfectly legal for somebody to fire you from your job for being LGBT or being perceived as, or kicked out of your home or kicked out of a public space. Having laws in place that will make that illegal. Will give people, the sense that they have the same rights as everybody else, regardless of their gender identity or their sexual orientation. But even more so outside of the legalities and the laws and the policies and ordinances that could be in place is really changing the hearts and minds of what people think and who they believe LGBTQ people to be. There's a large kind of misinformation that's out there, of who people are, especially our trans brothers and sisters, our trans siblings, of who transgender people are and who they aren't. The misinformation about their community and how they navigate. They are just like anybody else. They go to school with us, they work with us, they go to church with you. And really getting that out and getting the message out of who people are. I think that's the single biggest challenge that we have. Because I think once people know LGBTQ people and are able to say, hey, I have a friend that identifies as LGBTQ, or my friend is trans, and kind of dispelling those myths or those, really downright lies that are out there about who we are. I think once that happens, then a lot of these other barriers that are in place, up to and including legal protections, will start to fall away. I think the most hope is our youth. I get the privilege of working with young folks all the time and hearing the things that they are saying. And I can honestly say the hate's not there. They don't see the same things that some of our older generations do. And that's hopeful to me. I strongly believe that if I can work myself out of a job, then that means that we're in a good place in our society. But I think our youth will get us there. More and more every day, I see the compassion that they have and the love that they have for each other, and really the ability to throw away the binary of what society has strapped us down to. They're really asking those questions as like, why has this been done this way, or why do we see it that way? And if they continue to ask these questions and continue to chip away at the ignorance that has been in place for many years, then we'll eventually get where we need to be, and that makes me happy.